Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Meg and I just got married. And while it was the best day, best weekend, best week of our lives, like ever, we had so much fun. And honestly, this was like kind of a hard video to make because everything I felt like was so perfect. I do want to share some of my wedding regrets. Before we dive into it, let me know down below if you like seeing wedding content, if you want more wedding content, if there's anything specifically that you want to know or want to see. If you like what you watched today, please subscribe and let's get into it. So right off the bat, I'm just gonna say that having a local wedding, big wedding, was never what I wanted. So that would be my first like regret, although the way that we did it and the actual day and everything was like truly perfect. Like I wouldn't change a thing. However, if I would have had it my way, we would have been on a plane to Italy and having a wedding there, and only inviting like our 30 or 40 like closest people, staying in a villa, the whole 9 yards, and making a big European vacation out of it. That's just what I would have wanted to do. I also pitched the idea of getting a beach house for a week and having all of our friends stay there and our family stay close in other beach houses and doing a wedding right on the beach and just signing a paper and calling it a day and having more of like a fun week than anything else. And I got vetoed on that as well. So I did feel like, because I didn't feel strongly about having a wedding at all, and Tom did feel strongly about having a wedding, that we should go with what he wanted, because truly it didn't matter to me at all. I would have signed a piece of paper and walked away the next day, happily on my way. So I thought that it was fine to just do what he wanted to do, have a local wedding, invite too many people, whatever. So I don't know if that's necessarily a regret or if I just had to compromise, and I don't really care either way. But yeah, if I had it my way, we would not have had something local and we would not have invited as many people as we did. This is gonna sound super random, but on my list I have champagne toast. So I feel like champagne toast was a total waste of money the way that we did it. What I wanted our catering company to do is do a champagne toast pre-ceremony, like give the champagne so that they can drink the champagne before we get there, or like while we're doing the ceremony, I don't know, so they can have champagne, like they can start with a drink. And they kind of like questioned it, and then our point of contact for the catering like left the job, and so a new person came in like literally 2 weeks before our wedding, and I just kind of never mentioned it again, because honestly, when you're a week or 2 weeks before your wedding, you don't want to do anything anymore. And there's so many things to do. It just like wasn't one of my battles that I was gonna pick. So they did champagne toast after the ceremony, and I just felt like it was just a waste. Like why do they need a champagne toast while they're already like headed to cocktail hour? They should just get the cocktail they want at cocktail hour. I guess maybe it's nice for them to immediately get something in their hand, but instead of like having a huge bar line. But for the cost that it was, to me, it was silly. Like it didn't make sense. I only would have thought that it was worth its value if they actually handed out pre-ceremony. Next would be transportation. So we paid for this like trolley, I guess, to transport us. And it was easy, convenient, great. It was really beautiful. Like the interior was like a Great Gatsby themed, and it was like a speakeasy trolley, and it was like beautiful and did its job, like getting us from one place to another. But at the same time, I felt like we were just going from one place to another. We spent absolutely zero time in that trolley. Like we barely even could finish one like White Claw between like 4 of us, like going through and sharing it on the drive from the hotel to the venue. Like we were not going far enough that it mattered. And again, like it was a wonderful trolley, and in the future I'd probably book it for like a birthday or like a celebration or something, like something fun where you're gonna be on it more, because I feel like it was silly for the amount of time we were on it. the price that it was. Like, it was way too much money, and we should have booked just like a driver. I don't even know who we would have booked. I guess we could have Ubered, but I feel like that would have been a pain, literally from like hotel to pictures to venue. And then they had to pick up our parents. So I do like the fact that like it was just one price, one vehicle, and they did everything. They got the guys, they got the girls, they got our parents to the venue. Then they picked us up from pictures and took us to the venue, and then they were done. So I did like that it was one person, one vehicle. They had all the routes. They could pick up every single person that we needed them to. I just feel like there had to be something better. Like, not better. There had to be something cheaper that maybe wasn't as like nice and bougie and like awesome, but just cheaper. Like, I did feel like that was a little bit of a waste of our money since we really weren't like on it. But oh my gosh, I think this is my biggest regret of the whole wedding. Okay, this is gonna sound so silly, but I had my hair half up with like 2 face framing pieces down, okay? And in all these pictures, you know, it's like this. It's like beautiful. My hair was so like curly and it looked gorgeous, okay? And I love all the pictures where like my hair's in it. And I honestly, I like all the pictures too where like it's just like the 2 pieces and my face. I don't mind that like my hair wasn't in the photos all the time. And the photos where my hair was in it, like from the side, my favorite ones. And it's literally my favorite because I'm like, my hair looks so good. At some point or another, someone told me, hey, like, do you want to put your hair in front at all? They didn't say you should. They didn't say you need to. They just said, do you want to put your hair in front? Like, what do you want? And just like not thinking on a day-to-day basis, if I was taking a picture of myself, of course, like I would put my hair in front. That's how I just had it this whole time. That is what I feel like is the best look. But with this half up hairstyle with the 2, I feel like it looked weird. Like the curls were like too hairsprayed. They didn't look good. I felt like it made my ears stand out because like of the half up part. I just feel like that's not what the hairstyle was supposed to do. And I didn't really get a chance to think about it. There's all these cute pictures with like our dog and stuff that I really wish that I like because everything else is perfect, but I just don't like the way my hair looks. And so for me, like I don't like the picture at all because I just look at myself and I'm like very disappointed in the way that my hair looks in the photos. Another regret, and I personally regret it because I'm a picky eater, and when you are the bride and the groom, like you don't really eat very much, and I made every intention to eat. I did eat. Trust me when I say I was eating. I had a whole plate of the grilled cheese appetizers brought to the little green room while I put sneakers on and like caught my breath and you know whatever. And then I also went to one of the stations but I'm so picky, like all I got was mac and cheese. And I just felt like there's so much adrenaline and there's so many things that I was thinking, this is next, this is next, this is next. I want to go change. I want to do this. I want to do that. I didn't really get to enjoy it. And the catering bill was astronomical. Our venue only works with 8 caterers that we could choose from. And we were just complete idiots about it and like only even reached out and got quotes from 1. And I feel like that's part of like wedding planning and wedding regret later is like in the moment, seriously going to each vendor and emailing and inquiring and filling out their questionnaires and their surveys, going back and forth, going through the menu, picking things out. You're at a point where you've met with these people so many times, you've filled out so many things, you've made so many decisions, and then they, you know, put it all together for you and give you your quote. And then you have to decide yes or no. And it's like, well, at this point, I don't want to do this again. So this is an absurd amount of money. And I feel like I regret that part of it, how expensive that was. I should mention our catering included our bar. So like it was food and drink, but the price, like seriously, was not okay. And I watch all these videos of people talking about how high their bills were and blah, blah, blah. And I read all the comments and like nobody's bill was as much as ours. So I just feel like if we would have gone to at least two other places and gotten quotes, I think we would have made a different choice. And I think we would have been better off financially. One of my regrets, and some people might not like this, was the guest list. I wish it was smaller, cut down. I mean, I did like cut. Like Tom would have had 300 people there if he could have. I would have cut to probably like, oh gosh, again, I would have cut for a destination wedding. That's really what I would have done. But I would have cut more. Like we had 120 something. I would have had 100 maybe. Like maybe. This is a regret that I cannot control, did not control in any capacity, but is unfortunately a regret now. But we bought fake florals and we were working on arrangements for fake florals, which by the way, I wasn't good at. I shouldn't have done in the first place. And, you know, I was going to try to make it work. I was going to keep trying. I was going to make it work. I would have called in reinforcement from people who were better at it than me. But I don't know. I just wanted to DIY literally everything. So I bought somebody's fake florals on Facebook Marketplace, and thank God it was like not that expensive. I think it was like $700 for literally the arches and like the base of everything too. The arches, centerpieces, sweetheart table stuff. Like it was everything that they had. And all I wanted to do was add like blue to it. They were like kind of all white, and I just wanted to add blue to it to match our color scheme. Then at one point I got into like spring colors, and I was doing like blues, yellows, pinks, oranges. And then I changed my mind again, whatever. The whole like floral process, I should have waited longer to get that started in the first place because I couldn't make up my mind about color scheme and flowers and all that stuff. So I shouldn't have started it. But then the hurricane hit and literally took out all of our florals and floral arrangements and everything. And so then like that $700 plus whatever other color flowers I bought after that were basically just garbage. And so then we had to pay for flowers. And I'm so glad that we went with an actual like, you know, professional florist. I think that our florals were absolutely amazing and beautiful. But again, that's another price tag that was like almost impossible for me to stomach. And on top of that, there was another wasted, I don't know, $1,500 like on the fake florals that ended up washing away. So I would wait for florals, especially if you're not like 110% committed to your color scheme or your florals. I don't know about this one, but I think that one of my regrets is my wedding venue. And I'm questioning myself on it because again, like it was the most perfect day ever. I wouldn't have changed a thing. But looking back, I chose this venue because it was city owned. And so it was like cheap. But the room was just empty. I didn't like the walls. There's like a weird like design on the walls that I didn't like. So I did like draping, and we had to do a lot, in my opinion, a lot to like make it look beautiful in there. And I feel like I liked the location. I liked that it was very like Tampa centric. Like it was very much about our city. And that was very important to us. Like for the whole wedding, I feel like once we decided we were doing it in Tampa, we kind of made it like Tampa themed. So I do like that part of it. I like that it was like both city and park and water. Like it had everything that we like value a lot and love. And I like that it was affordable at first, but then you have to do so much to these blank venues that it ends up like not really being worth the price like the price cut for the venue, because then in the end, you're spending all this money on all this other crap to make it look good. And it's not like the draping that's expensive or like the disco balls or whatever. It's the setup costs that they charge, delivery and setup. That will get you. Because you'll be on the website, you'll see the price, and you'll be like, perfect, that's easy, I can do that. And then they hit you with the quote, and the service charge is like 3 times whatever the product was, and you're like, oh, okay. Like, we wanted a colored like dance floor. We wanted it to be blue and white instead of black and white to go with our theme. And no, the difference between a blue and white floor and a black and white floor, like all these rentals, you just don't know until you're in it. And then you just know. And it's like, oh my God. So that's a whole other thing. Nobody complained about it. But I will say we had zero strategy on like releasing tables to eat. Zero strategy. We didn't say do it in number order. We didn't say do it by family, then friends, or we gave no direction. I don't know who ate first, second, third, and last. I don't know who ate when. I don't know if people were sitting around waiting to be released for too long. I have no idea. I know that they let us go get food, and then they told like the tables to wait. We came back in, and by the time that I think everybody else was like eating, I was changing into my other outfit. So, and while I was changing, and to me, dinner had just started in my head. I don't know. Time is like a blur when you're out there. People were already dancing. People were already on the dance floor. And I'm like, oh my God, like what? We haven't done our outfit change or cake cutting. Like there's all these other things that we were supposed to do before dancing, and everybody's just already out there. And I'm like, okay, well, like we're gonna have to tell them to get off the dance floor so we can go do the cake cutting and like whatever. I'm like, oh my gosh. So that's another regret too. Like, I don't know if I could have done it any faster. I literally ate for like 2 seconds, it felt like, and went and changed. And by the time I changed, people were already out there. So we had to like tell people to sit down, which they were not happy about. But then they went back out, and then our parents did that surprise dance. So they had to tell people to sit back down twice. The dance floor was full, and they were like, okay, everybody back to your seats. There's something else about to happen. And that definitely is like uncontrollable, because people aren't gonna get up and go to the dance floor and you're gonna say, no, sit down for another whatever. It's like, I guess let them dance for 10 minutes and then tell them to sit down. I don't know. And in the end, the people who were like annoyed that they had to sit down for the dance floor, once the cake cutting happened and the outfit change and the surprise dance from the parents, they were all for it, loved it, living for it. But in the moment, when you don't know that that's about to happen and you get told to sit down, you're like, what the heck? I was having fun. So not regret, I don't know. The timeline was what it was, and it happened how it happened. And I was so like just in euphoria. I like did not care. Like I didn't care if people were already dancing and then they had to sit down, or I did not care. I didn't notice. I didn't care. Nothing bothered me. I was like, we're having a good time. Like I did not care. I don't even know how to explain the euphoria that you feel like on the wedding day. I guess there are people who probably have like anxiety, and probably people who, I don't know, like are emotional or whatever. Not the case for me personally. I have severe anxiety, and actually I've been on antidepressants for the last like few months since the hurricane happened and all that. And on that day, I had zero anxiety. I had zero depression. I was in this state of like, I don't know. I wonder if that's how people feel all the time, and I just don't feel that way because I'm depressed, or what, because I was just like nothing could have bothered me. Our ceremony seats were kind of ugly, but I don't know. I don't care. I really don't care. But if I was going to be very critical of the wedding, I would say our ceremony seats were ugly, but it's what the venue included, and I was not about to spend another dime at that point. But yeah, they were ugly. I mean, like everything was so beautiful that when I look at the pictures, I do not look at the ceremony chairs at all. But I'm sure somebody who's type A, detail oriented, and like super into it, I'm sure they look at it and I'm sure they're like, those chairs are ugly. Ooh, one thing about photos that I regret, I saw these photos and I didn't even clock it until after the wedding, but I saw these photos that I loved and I had sent as examples, and they had so much more of the city in the background, and I didn't like clock it until later. And I looked at ours and I'm like, there's like no city in the background. You know, there's like a little bit, but there's all these buildings that are very clearly like Tampa buildings. I feel like I regret that I did not cry, not one time all day. We did vows in front of everybody, didn't cry, didn't shed a tear, didn't even get watery eyes. I am super emotion avoidant. I get like super frustrated and angry, and that's when I cry, is when I'm finally at like an anger breaking point. But like when I'm like sad or happy or those emotions that make normal people cry, it just doesn't happen for me. And I feel like I regret that a little bit, because I wonder if, well, I don't regret it for me, but I wonder if people look at that and see me as like, oh, they weren't like super emotional. I just was happy. And like, again, I was in a state of euphoria that like, I wasn't feeling like these deep emotions. It was just like a happy day. Maybe it should have been more clear that the welcome table needed to be big, and maybe should have been out at the ceremony. However, our ceremony was literally in a public park. So I guess that's kind of dangerous, because like anybody could have come and just stolen our gift box. So that's probably why they didn't put it out there. But there was a time where I was having the time of my life, Tom was having the time of his life, and we're dancing, and someone came up to us and was like, hey, everybody's asking me where the card box is, and like, we like tried to hand us cards while we were like on the dance floor. And I was like, find it, go find it. Do not give me those cards. I don't know where I'm gonna put them, and I don't know where they will be, and I'm not going to go find it. I said, ask our planner. That's why we have her. I'll be honest, when we went to cocktail hour, like I don't even blame these people, because when I went to cocktail hour, I noticed our jersey, our guest book signed and everything, and I thought that was so cute. I never saw the card box. And our, like, I think our disco ball was out there with it. Never saw it. So it does lead me to believe that it was like not in the best spot for people to see. And so I wish we would have been like, we need a big welcome table with the guest book jersey and the cards on it, because obviously people need to know where it is. Along the lines of guest book, our guest book was a hockey jersey, made perfect sense for us, the whole 9 yards. On the front, our jersey said Tatarian, Tom's last name, my new last name someday. We'll see when I get around to that. On the back, they had bride and groom, 25 for 2025. And we wore them to a hockey game earlier in the week, whatever. We only brought Tom's jersey to have signed. And in my head, we were going to have the front signed with the name on it. But then when we came out, it was the back. And I did not clarify, I did not ask, and I did not say anything about it. So that is 100% on me. But I was like, dang, now like when we hang it up, it's going to say groom on the back. And I would have preferred to hang it with like Tatarian on there, like the name. So that was my own fault. And that was one of those things that at the end of the day, I don't care. Like, that's such a small little thing that like, I don't care. But if that's something that would bother you about your guest book, where you're displaying something later on, make sure it's being signed on the side that you want it, or the place you want it, or the page you want it, or whatever it might be. Also a contender for my biggest regret, but we had no cake. We literally picked up the piece to put in each other's mouths, and that was it. And also just in general, I felt so awkward. These people just watched me spill all my personal feelings in my vows, get married, kiss my fiance, now husband, do my first dance, do my father-daughter dance. All the people at our wedding just watched that. And yet I was embarrassed because we came back out again with an outfit change to do our cake cutting. And I was like mortified with all the attention on us in that moment, even though it had been all day. So like, I don't know what I was thinking in that moment. I just got so anxious. And so I basically ran in. The first part of this regret is just pictures. I wish we stopped, did a little twirl on the dance floor in my new dress where we're the only ones on the dance floor with the disco balls and all the stuff. But I was so scared that I just like went so fast. We didn't even walk together. He was like behind me. Then we got to the cake table. We didn't stop. We didn't smile. We didn't do anything cute. Nothing. We literally, actually Tom cut the cake, put it on the plate. We grabbed one little piece each, put it in each other's mouth, done. And like, that was it. And like, I could feel that people were watching us, and that made me so uncomfortable and nervous and anxious that I just like, I couldn't even look. I couldn't look at them. I couldn't keep going. I was like, okay, we're done. Like, I don't know what happened after that. Like, I literally blacked out. So that's my part 1 regret of the cake cutting. Part 2 regret is literally we ate the little piece that we picked up and put in each other's mouth. That's the whole cake we ate. We didn't finish the slice. Then we brought the cake home, but we were staying in a hotel. So we brought it to the hotel, did not refrigerate it or anything. Obviously, left it out. The next day, didn't eat any of it. Brought it back to our apartment, put it in the fridge, and then just like, it just wasn't the same like ever again, obviously. So we didn't eat enough of the cake. We didn't enjoy it. And the one piece I ate was so good. And everybody was like, the cake was so good. It was so good. It was so good, blah, blah, blah. And I just am kicking myself that I did not eat a whole slice or like eat more of it. But to rectify that, I did reach out to our cake girl and I said, hey, for our 1 month anniversary, and to celebrate like selling our house finally and the hurricane stuff being almost done, could we get a smaller replica, please, of our wedding cake? Could we get the same flavor and whatever? Just small, cute, and we will actually be able to eat it. So I'm glad that I'm doing that because I was very sad that the cake was so good and I barely got to eat it. My wedding dress is one of my biggest regrets of all time. Like, and here's the thing, it's like I can't even say it anymore because my wedding happened. It was so perfect. I felt so beautiful and everything was amazing. But like the whole wedding, I was having regret. The whole planning process, I was having regret, which I read up on. I think it's normal. I think a lot of brides do this. But number 1, I paid so much for that dress. So much. I should have gave myself a budget and then stuck to it. I paid a disgusting amount for this dress. And it was so plain, so basic, so boring. Here's the thing. Now I can be like, it was classic and it was elegant and it was beautiful and it went with our venue and our vibe, and I love the way I looked in it. I love the way I felt in it. I'm obsessed. However, I could have got the same exact dress that I wore without all the alterations that I had to do, because it was like literally A-line and I wanted it to be poofier, whatever. All the alterations that I had to do, the customizations I had to do because it had a slit and I didn't want a slit. It had sleeves and I didn't want sleeves. Why I picked that priced dress with all the fixes that I had to do makes no sense to me. But I just kept getting told like, it's too late, you're pushing it, your dress is barely gonna get here in time, like it's time, you have to make a decision. And I had tried on so many dresses at that point, I just didn't know anymore, and I just like said yes. And like, when I look back at the dresses I tried on, I know that all of those were a lot more trendier. They were a lot like of the, what the heck is it called? Basque waist, which I felt like looked so good on me. I've always known that I'm an A-line girl, like tight, wide, because I have wide ribs. So that does make me look more, whatever, shaped the way that I want to be. However, the Basque waist looked phenomenal. I had zero waist. I looked incredible. But I do know that it's trendy. And there were certain things on the dresses that were trendy. They were very, very like corsety as well, which I'm not sure I wanted a corset. I don't think I wanted any like hard boning on it. I don't think I wanted lace or anything. So like looking back, even though I loved those, I do think this was my favorite dress. It's just the price. I could have found the exact same thing, I feel like, for so much less. Not even half, like a fourth, a tenth of the cost of what I paid. Like, it is disgusting, and I don't know why I kept getting like swindled. I think once you're on decision overload, you just like make mistakes. You really do. This is definitely a silly one and kind of like vain, but I was pretty pale, I guess, on our wedding day. I mean, nothing crazy. Just being tan always makes you feel better. Don't know what it is. Maybe it's just like summery feeling, and a lot of people associate summer with like being a kid and summer break and whatever. And so I do wish that I had been getting spray tans before the wedding, so that right before the wedding it would have just been like a maintenance spray tan. But instead I waited too long, and then I feel like I wanted to get a spray tan, but I wasn't sure how it was gonna look, and I didn't know what I really wanted, and I was afraid that it was gonna be too much or not enough or whatever. And so I wish I had just started it like 4 months before. So then when I got to wedding week, I would have known exactly what to do, exactly how many days before, exactly what shade, exactly what place, all the things. I wish I had weeded out options and like what I loved and wanted, so that I could have been tan on the wedding day. But instead I just went with no spray tan, and I still love everything about myself and how I looked in my pictures. It's just something that probably could have made it better. The same thing goes for facials. I wish I had been doing facials for like 6 months before. I only really started a month before, and I feel like that's a big regret for me. I was purging, and then, you know, on the wedding day, I felt totally fine. I feel like everything worked out, and I feel like my skin felt good and whatever, and I feel like I looked good. But I just feel like I could have taken it up another level if I would have started the facials like 6 months before and gotten my skin to purge and get used to it, and then like was just, again, doing maintenance. Honestly, you guys, those are all of the regrets that I can even think of at this point, which I feel like means that we did pretty well. I had to pull some of those like out of nowhere, and they were like a little bit of like, I don't know if this is a regret, it's just something. But if I were gonna go into all the things that we did right, all the things that went perfectly, all the things that I would do 100 times over again, all the things that I think everybody should do, all the things I think everybody should skip because it was the best ever that we did it, whatever, everything that was perfect, that list is literally so long, and I didn't even have to think about things for like a minute. Like, the regrets list, I had to think so hard because I genuinely feel like everything was perfect. The I love it list is so much longer. So I can't wait to make that video. I'm gonna sit down and make that video probably tomorrow when I get a new memory card and all that. So make sure to subscribe if you want to see all the things that I love about our wedding. That's all I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.